Hey, it's Erica again. Here in this video, I wanted to look at the results of my own DNA test, my second cousin's DNA test, and my maternal aunt's DNA test to see if we really have Native American ancestry. Now, this is a photo of my great-grandmother, and she was born and raised in South Georgia. And a lot of her family is reportedly from the North Carolina or the Carolina area. My family is basing a lot of their conclusions on the features of my great grandmother and her siblings. They frequently mention that some of her aunts looked white, or some of her siblings were darker skinned with long straight hair. And I'm sure this is very true. But does this really mean that they're Native American, or does this mean that they have some other admixture? We're not sure, but we'll let the DNA speak from this point. Now, here are the family tree DNA results of an individual that I found online that actually has New World Native American ancestry. As you see, they kind of break down his percentages, clearly showing that there is New World Native American. Then there's some European, then some East Asian, and Central South Asian. Now, here are the results that I have from 23andMe. As you see, 92.3% Sub-Saharan African, 7.2% European, 0.1% East Asian, and Native American. And of course, the Southeast Asian and broadly East Asian and Native American percentages are extremely, extremely low. So I'm not sure that that would indicate that my great-grandmother herself was had native DNA, but of course, my DNA from this company pulled from both resources. And again, this is so far away that I'm not sure that it's really relevant to any of the DNA or the individuals we're considering as far as the Native American results are concerned. And by both resources, I mean some of my DNA came from my father's side, and that's being reported, as well as my maternal side. Now, here are the results of my male cousin on my maternal side. So he's my second cousin, my mother's first cousin. His father is the son of the picture I showed you earlier, which is my great-grandmother. Okay, so 94.9%, I hope I'm saying that right, Sub-Saharan African, 2.8% European, and 1.4% East Asian and Native American. And out of that, 0.8% Southeast Asian, 0.5% Native American, and 0.1% broadly East Asian and Native American. So looking at this 1.4% East Asian and Native American, it could indicate that 7 generations back that there were ancestors that had DNA from these areas, and could have been Southeast Asian and Native American as it displays here, but the percentage is very small. What we're considering is that his father's mother, who the picture of my great-grandmother that we showed earlier, which would be my cousin's grandmother, and she is the person in question. I guess her and her siblings are the people in question as far as whether there are Native American descendants, or if they are descendants of Native Americans. So again, we don't know conclusively if this is true or not, but it does show that there's a very, very small percentage of possibility. And you never know, with future research, we may see different results. But as far as today, we don't see anything that's super significant or close enough to conclude that his grandmother was a Native person or a descendant of natives. Now, here are the results of my great aunt, who's 97 years old. She is the direct daughter of the great grandmother, the picture that I showed you earlier. And as you see, her results are African, 91%, West African, 84%, East Central African, 4%, South Central Africa, 3%, European 5%, and that's broken down into the British Isles, Middle Eastern 3%, which indicates North Africa. So my aunt being the direct descendant of my grandmother, who is the person we are questioning as far as Native American DNA is considered. If you flash back to the first set of results from Family Tree DNA, you saw that an individual that had true bona fide Native American ancestry had it listed there as far as the DNA is concerned. My aunt, on the other hand, as far as her results, we don't see any Native American listed. So, again, this we could conclude that possibly there's no Native American ancestry listed. Of course, I've seen all of the videos and the information from PBS that indicates that there are a lot of African Americans in the South that kind of gravitated toward Native American ancestry to explain away some of the European DNA that they might have had or acquired from slavery. So again, we could possibly see or conclude that maybe what she was referring to as far as the features of some of her family members, as she frequently relates, darker skin, longer hair, or some of her aunts with lighter skin, wavy hair, long hair, that kind of thing. We could conclude that that's basically some of the DNA or some of the features of a person of mixed ancestry, which would include European ancestry and possibly some from Africa, which would be the North Africa, Middle Eastern. So, again, with future science and further research, we could conclude that there is a portion of Native ancestry as far as our family is concerned. But as far as this test specifically shows, we do not have any Native American ancestry on my maternal side. So again, my aunt also has a sister that's 102 years old. She could take the test and she could have totally different results. But as far as my results following the X chromosome on up the maternal line, I did not have a significant amount of Native American ancestry. My aunt shows really 0% on this particular listing here. So again, with future information, we could see more Native American DNA, but as far as today, our family has no significant Native American DNA on my maternal line. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any more information or if you can give me some more clues as to whether I am on the right track or not, please leave a comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.